rise. Justice Court is back in session. You may be seated.
Case number 12 CR 00011, State of Nevada versus Peter James Helfrich. Let the record reflect the defendant is present in court in custody, represented by Mr. Harry Ginsler of the Nye County Public Defender's Office, and the state is represented by Deputy District Attorney Mr. Michael Vieta-Cabell. This is the date set for trial on one count domestic battery. Is the state ready to proceed?
We are, Your Honor.
And Mr. Keene?
Defense is ready.
Are you still ready?
Yeah, we're ready to proceed about an hour late, and I apologize.
Are there any preliminary motions?
Exclusionary rule.
Exclusionary rule. Judge, let me just advise you that Mr. Helfrich advised me today that he thought he had about $1,600 saved up. He thought 800 of that was accessible to him. After our chat this morning, he indicated he wanted to hire a private counsel and wanted to continue this matter. I told him that $800 would probably not be enough to tempt a lawyer to come out here from Las Vegas. So I wanted you to be aware of that. Otherwise, I'm ready to go.
And the only thing the state would add to that is, I believe Mr. Helfrich was living in sort of an encampment and not an actual residence, and so I'm just concerned if it's $1,600 to his name that, you know, I mean, you might be able to scrounge up enough to tempt a lawyer, but that would leave you with literally no way to put food in your mouth and, you know, clothes on your back.
All right, well, I am not privy to Mr. Helfrich's personal financial situation other than the fact that he apparently qualified for court-appointed counsel, and I am not of a mind to continue this case today, so we will go forward.
Thank you.
How many witnesses do you have?
The state has 3 witnesses, Your Honor.
All right, who is your first witness?
The first witness is going to be Ms. Sylvia Castillo.
Okay. Are any of the other witnesses present?
They are.
Please wait out in the lobby and do not discuss your testimony with anyone. Thank you.
Come on in. I'm going to have you stand right here. I'm going to have you face the clerk and raise your right hand to the best of your ability.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
You may be seated.
I'm going to ask you to speak loud enough so the microphone is picking up.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you please state your name and spell your name for us?
Sylvia Castillo. Is that too loud?
That's perfect. Can everybody hear?
Yes, I can hear fine.
Silvia, last name Castillo.
I'm going to just move to amend the criminal complaint real quick to correct the spelling of her name from S-Y-L-V-I-A to S-I-L-V-I-A.
So amended, thank you.
I want to talk to you about some events that happened right around New Year's, January 1st of this year.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember
Yes.
calling the police around that date?
Yes.
Why did you call the police on that date?
Oh, it all began over a lady at Smith's when he went to purchase a money order, and I was very elated over a burgundy shirt that I got at the Salvation Army, like a pregnancy shirt but tight. And then the lady, before that, I was already giving her the looks, like, you better not come near me in my image because, you know, I have an image with your girls, and we like to compare each other's body forms and say hi to each other and look at each other's wardrobe or whatever. And I have plans of a career in the future, going to college and all that kind of stuff, and I know a lot of people in the city. And so she said to Mr. Peter Helfrich, honey, and then he says, I love you. So then I said, do not expect me to have your baby.
I wanted to ask you a question real quick. Is Peter Helfrich here with us today?
Excuse me?
Is Peter Helfrich in the room with us?
Yes.
Could you point to him and describe something he's wearing?
Orange?
Okay. And I don't know that she can point.
Not.
Are there any other colors on Mr. Helfrich?
Is it him?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It stipulates she's identified the defendant.
Thank you.
What's your relationship with Mr. Helfrich?
Oh, well, Mr. Gerald F. Knuckles is like a black civil rights political, like, rebel, and he believes in no medicine, and I used to work for him, and I'm always getting organic marijuana for Mr. Gerald F. Knuckles, and that's how I met Mr. Peter.
What was your relationship with the defendant, Peter Helfrich, back on January 1st?
He asked me to be his, like, fiancé.
Okay. Were you guys dating?
Since June the 21st, last year,
Okay.
2011.
And were you guys still together on January 1st of this year, 2012?
It was a shaky marriage, and I was already, like, making plans to kind of, like, leave him.
Okay. Where were you guys staying on January 1st, 2012?
East Basin, across the street from Payless Storage, and he has a teardrop camper, a school bus, and another camper that they gave him.
Okay. On that January 1st date, what happened to you that made you call the cops?
Okay, first there was the issue of that woman at Smith's, and we talked about it. Then after that, I went panhandling, and there was a worker, a man that works at Smith's, and to me he looked like a Chucky, you know, and the other guy, I call him his culture a Guatemalteco. He's a Guatemala guy, and obviously he lives, like, I think homeless or whatever. And the other guy, a white boy. It was New Year's, and they invited me to a party, and I said sure, you know. And I was getting ready to meet them around 8 o'clock or whatever. And then after that, another car drove up, and it was, so I always call them skinheads. You might call them skinheads, but just because they're bald-headed and white. But he was a very cool guy, and he says, oh, you know, Mikey, your son, he's my neighbor, and he's doing okay. And I said, oh, really? And then I knew in my thought that my son, I do not call him Mikey. My ex-husband's nephew, they call him Mikey, so I had suspicions. I said, in my thought, oh my God, I hope my ex-husband is not around here in the city. Everybody's kind of like moving to Vegas or Pahrump, my family.
I'm going to jump in. One thing, I have to try to figure out what happened right around the exact time that you called the police.
Yes.
What were you doing?
Oh, he gave me $5 when I was panhandling, and then I went home, and then we were discussing about Suzette Bermudo going to court on January the 3rd, and before that, he controlled my free will of expressing my what I wanted to say, how she controlled my $6 barbecue grill, and no twigs from the trees, and he bought the mesquite wood, and also he countersued she said that he had to leave the property. And she hid her last name, and I mediated. And then he told me, well, I'm going to kick you if you don't go and take care of this matter with Suzanne.
Who said they were going to kick you?
Mr. Peter Helfrich, that he was going to kick me out of my bed.
Okay. What happened after that?
Then I went, I used to go to Oasis Community to get a perishable food box for free in the mornings. And Suzette used to go there. And so she had to leave my face while I was getting a fruit box. And so I said, good, I took care of the matter. And I did not wanted Mr. Peter Helfrich to put words in my mouth to say more or less. She stated that he lit up fires around his whatever campsite. And then I said, no, he never lit up any fires while I was there. You cannot bring when I was not there before and bring it while I'm there. I got all the plastic bags, I had a bag with a basket, and put all the plastic bags and go to Rebel, to the city, and just throw the trash as careful as possible.
Do you remember about what time you called the police?
No, I do not remember the time.
Do you remember if it was in the morning?
I remember it was nighttime.
It was nighttime?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, did you see Peter at all that night?
Yes, Peter and I were talking about Suzette, and I wrote a warrant upon Suzette, and then they said they did not understand it. It was a bunch of scribbled lines on the top, and then at the bottom, I wrote blah 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 exactly what happened, and then after that, that was my anger that they did not. That I was already computing a lot of things, and that's it.
I'd stipulate that Mr. Vieira-Cabell could lead a little more if he so desires, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. King.
I appreciate it. Do you remember talking to me over at the jail earlier this week?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember me asking you what happened between you and Peter at the school bus?
Well, we were cooking lamb chops, and I grazed jiu-jitsu on our way walking, and I threw him to the ground, pulled his hair, and punched his rib. Mm-hmm. Oh, since the very beginning, I had my backpack, a little, not a backpack, but a diaper bag, a black Similac diaper bag, and it's plastic inside, and we used to put the bag of ice in the summertime. And so my purse with all my credit cards or whatever, identity or whatever, was in there. And I told Peter, I have to go and get my purse before I go to bed. And then he snaps at me. And then he snaps at me, and I said, well, you cannot expect magical wonders or miracles if I cannot come home with a bag of ice. And obviously, you know, this is not a secure place. And then he slapped me right here and left me with a scar. And then I forgave him. And then after that, one day he snapped, and then he put a letter on the door when I went to work and came back home, and he says, oh, blah, 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 you gotta go. And then I guess my mistake was to say, why? You told me to be yours and all that kind of stuff. And then I said, I can't go back to the other guy or whatever.
I'm gonna jump in again, because I wanted to talk more about the school bus.
Uh-huh.
Do you remember, were you in the school bus when you called the police?
Oh, after we got through rumbling, he says, let go of me. And then I let him punch my face. Then after that, he goes to his teardrop little camper, and then he waits for me. And then I said, well, I'm going to go look for my backpack. Well, it's not really a backpack, let me quote.
Well,
the child bag.
Where did you go to look for that?
Oh, after him beating my face, I went looking for my, I told him I'm going to go look for my bag. And then after that, he was in his camper waiting for me. And then I felt my face extremely like, oh no, I can't go to bed like this. I'm all like, oh, I'm wounded. And then I get into the school bus, and I happen to find the cell phone. And then when I find the cell phone, I dial 911. He hears me from his teardrop camper, dialing 911. He takes the phone, and later on, I heard that he had a machete on my back. I did not know, and I thought they were cans. And then I covered my face up, and then he pushes me out the camper, and my elbow is still sore from that. And then the sheriffs, they showed up, and I ran to them.
Okay. You mentioned getting punched in the face. Who punched you in the face?
Mr. Peter Helfrich.
Okay. Do you remember how many times he punched you?
No, I was I was kind of like feigning, but not feigning, and then I kind of like said,
Did you try to stop him?
No, I did not touch his face.
Okay. Did you try to cover your face?
No,
How did it feel when he hit you?
some kind of way, I did not have the thought to cover my face. It was kind of shameful to say this. I was pretty much calling God on the phone.
Why were you calling God?
In the mind. I was like saying, oh my God, look at him.
How did you feel when that was happening?
Oh, he punched me so much that I didn't feel the pain. It was kind of numbed, and then later on I felt the swelling in my head.
Okay. Now, you said something about your back. What happened with your back?
You dial 911, blank, blank, blank. And then he started, I didn't feel the things on my back either.
Okay.
And then,
Was there something on your back?
machete?
Okay. Could you see that it was a machete?
No.
Okay. Did anything touch your back?
Yeah, when I went to the hospital, I had 6 staples, and I have a bald spot that never got repaired.
Okay. Will the record reflect that the witness is touching the back of her head with her fingers? Did something happen to the back of your head?
They took pictures of the bed and everything. I thought there were a bunch of cans, to tell you the truth.
Okay. What were the cans doing with the back of your head?
Yeah, that's because I did not know they were machetes.
Okay. What happened to the back of your head, though, that you remember? Did you feel anything on the back of your head?
No.
Okay. Did anybody touch the back of your head?
Just Peter with the machete.
Okay. And where did that happen?
In the school bus.
Okay. Was it a light touch or a hard touch?
Well, as the sting progressed, I went to the ground and I covered my face and I told him to stop. Then he pushed me.
Okay. At this point, I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Castillo, I'm the lawyer for Mr. Helfrich. My name's Harry. The school bus, you said, was somewhere, is that in the desert outside of Pahrump?
Yes.
Not too far from the, I think you said the Walgreen? Or the...
Payless shoe
from the
stores?
Payless? It's within, is that within a walking distance?
Yes.
Now, I think you said that you were cooking some lamb chops in the school bus?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
sorry, yes.
Were you cooking for yourself and for Mr. Helfrich?
Yes.
Okay. I was listening very carefully to you. You said...
Chicken legs.
I'm sorry?
I chicken legs.
Chicken legs?
I do not like lamb chops. I do not eat red meat.
Okay. You were cooking something, though. Then I thought I heard you say that you pulled Mr. Helfrich's hair and that you punched his ribs. Were you the first person to hit? Why did you hit him while you were cooking for him? Do you remember?
The thought that went behind my action?
Yes.
I said, first of all, he didn't believe me that I was already in the process of suing and collecting all the gathering of warrants to holler rape upon my image as a sport. And I kept telling him I have a 15-year-old little boy, that no one is going to threaten or touch and bring up past mistakes and live through my so-called confession or whatever in the I am what you might call a very Lotus Mexican tarot card reader, prophetess, and I said I do not sell my power, and the women decided to compete with my, I guess you want to call it malicious beauty image or whatever.
I could stop you. So if I understood you, you were cooking, and then